You must realize the power you hold. Not someday, not when the conditions are perfect. Right now, this moment you are living is not an accident. It is a gift. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is not promised. And today, this exact breath, this exact choice belongs fully to you. You cannot relive this hour. You cannot duplicate this day. It is rare. It is irreplaceable. But with that gift comes responsibility. The responsibility to choose how you show up. To decide whether you will drift through this life distracted and reactive, or if you will rise and stand rooted, fully awake, fully present. This is the moment where power is born. Not the noisy kind that demands attention, but the quiet strength that comes from mastering your own mind, your choices, your responses. This is your reminder. Power lives here, and now is the time to claim it. So let's begin this journey toward walking with true power. One, the foundation of power. Real power does not begin with how much you control out there. It begins with how well you command yourself within. This is the first and most important lesson of Stoic wisdom: control what you can, release what you cannot. Epictetus opens his handbook with this teaching because it is the cornerstone of all strength. Understand this principle deeply, and you stop wasting your energy where it does not belong. You stop trying to bend the world to your will. Instead, you learn to bend your will toward what truly matters: your thoughts, your choices, your character. The truth is, much of what causes suffering in life comes not from the events themselves, but from our desire to control the uncontrollable. You want the outcome to obey your expectations. You want the people around you to act according to your plan. But life does not work this way. People will disappoint. Circumstances will shift. Plans will fall apart. This is the nature of reality. The Stoic does not fight this truth. The Stoic embraces it. Power is not about never feeling frustration, anger, or fear. Power is about what you do next. It is the ability to feel these emotions rise and still remain the one who decides how to respond. To choose your action not from impulse but from intention. This kind of strength is not born overnight. It is not a gift. It is built slowly, deliberately, like a muscle trained through daily practice. And the training begins in the small moments. In the argument that invites you to shout, in the conflict that tempts you to attack, in the failure that urges you to collapse into bitterness, these are your opportunities to practice power, to pause, to breathe, to return to yourself and ask the question the Stoics always asked: is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. You cannot force the river to flow backward. You cannot make the wind obey your command. But if the answer is yes, then act with full responsibility. Not as a burden, but as a privilege. The greatest strength is not in dominating others. It is in mastering your own reactions. It is in choosing to stay grounded when the world around you spins in chaos. Most people will never learn this. They will waste years fighting battles they cannot win, trying to change what they cannot change. They will pour their energy into forcing outcomes, fixing other people, or chasing external validation. And in doing so, they will exhaust themselves. They will live trapped in frustration, blaming the world for their misery. But the Stoic chooses a different battlefield. The Stoic turns inward. The Stoic works to govern the only realm where true freedom exists: the self. Control your tongue before it lashes out. Control your thoughts before they spiral into panic. Control your impulses before they make decisions for you. This is not repression, this is not denial, this is maturity, this is strength. The Stoic does not seek peace by silencing the storms outside. The Stoic finds peace by building an anchor within. And here's the deeper truth. The more you practice this, the stronger you become. At first, it feels like work, like effort, like you're holding yourself back. But over time, it becomes your nature, your default. Your calm in the middle of the storm is no longer forced, it is who you are. The power of this practice is quiet. It does not shout for attention. It does not demand applause, but it is noticed. People feel it. They may not understand why, but they feel the presence of someone who is not easily shaken. Someone who holds their ground without arrogance. Someone who stands tall, not because they dominate, but because they are undominated. This is the foundation of real power. And as you begin to build this foundation, as you learn to master the only thing that was ever yours to master, your thoughts, your actions, yourself, you unlock the strength that no one can take from you. Power begins with how you govern yourself, but it does not end there, because once you hold this inner stability, the next question becomes, how do you bring that power into the world through your words? The way you speak, the way you use your voice, will either magnify your strength or quietly undo it. And this is where we go next. 2. Speak like a sage. True strength is not only about how you carry yourself, it is also about how you choose your words. Because words are power, they can heal or they can destroy. They can build bridges or burn them down. They can lead people forward or push them away. And the Stoics knew this well. They understood that every word we speak is a reflection of the discipline of our mind. Epictetus warned us to let silence be your goal for the most part. Not because silence is weakness, but because careless words are like arrows shot in the dark. They wound without intention. They create conflict where there could have been clarity. The person who walks with power does not rush to fill silence. They do not speak to impress or to win approval. They speak only when their words serve a purpose to bring truth, to offer guidance, to build understanding. Measured words are not about being quiet for the sake of quiet. They are about being deliberate, about respecting the weight of what you say, about understanding that words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. How often do we speak just to fill the air, to avoid discomfort, to escape awkward silence? But the one who carries true power is not afraid of silence. They do not feel the need to explain everything. They do not chase approval through noise. Their words come slowly, thoughtfully, each one chosen like a stone placed carefully to build a path. They avoid gossip, knowing that it not only damages others but weakens their own integrity. They do not shout, because they know truth does not require volume. It carries its own gravity. They do not lie, because momentary ease is never worth the price of broken trust. Your speech is not just about communication, it is about who you are. Every word you choose reflects your mind, your values, your inner state. Do you speak to express wisdom or to protect your ego? Do you speak to connect or to control? The difference matters. The wise person speaks not from anxiety, but from clarity, not from pride, but from understanding. And sometimes the wisest word is no word at all. Because silence, when it is intentional, holds power. It invites others to reflect. It creates space for truth to rise. It commands attention without force. The person who can hold silence without discomfort is often the one others listen to most. The Stoics remind us that restraint is not weakness. It is strength. It is mastery over the self. A person who cannot govern their tongue cannot govern their life. So pause before you speak. Measure not only your words, but your tone, your timing, your intention. Ask yourself, am I speaking to serve the moment or to serve my pride? Speak when your words can elevate the conversation. Stay silent when your words would only add to the noise. And when you choose to speak, let your words be clean. Let them be free from gossip, from malice, from the need to impress. Speak with purpose, speak with care, speak with respect for the power of language. This is how your words become your strength, not your downfall. This is how your speech becomes a reflection of the mastery you hold within. But words alone are not enough. Even the most carefully chosen speech can fall empty if your presence is unstable. Because people don't just listen to what you say, they feel who you are. And the next layer of power is not in the words you speak, but in the stillness you carry. 3. The power of stillness, mastering stability in a chaotic world. In a world that rushes, the one who moves with stillness stands apart. Stillness is not laziness, it is not weakness, it is deliberate power. It is the refusal to be ruled by chaos, urgency, or pressure. The Stoics practiced stillness as an act of mastery over their own minds, their emotions, and their decisions. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the greatest empire of his time, carved out time each morning to sit in reflection, to write, to return to his center. That was not a luxury. It was leadership at its highest form, because true leadership, true power, does not come from frantic action. It comes from clarity, from presence, from moving with intention. The world we live in rewards speed. It praises those who answer quickly, who react fast, who move first. But the wise understand that haste often leads to mistakes. And that silence, patience, and stillness create the space where real wisdom can speak. Stillness is not about doing nothing. It is about not rushing. It is about not allowing the noise of the world to drown out your own thoughts. When you are still, you do not skip the quiet signals of your conscience. You do not miss the internal compass that guides your best decisions. In stillness, you hear what fear tries to silence. You listen to what anxiety tries to rush past. You catch the subtle signs that others overlook because they are too busy reacting. The Stoics knew that panic feeds poor judgment, that rushing to fix, to respond, to fight back often causes more harm than good. But stillness is resistance against that impulse. It is the discipline of waiting, of holding your ground, of acting only when your action will be sharp and effective. When you cultivate stillness, you do not avoid challenges. You face them, but you meet them with steady hands and clear eyes. You do not allow the urgency of others to become your own. You do not let their anxiety dictate your choices. Like the roots of an ancient tree, your calm does not prevent the wind from blowing, but it keeps you from breaking. You remain flexible but unshaken, responsive but not reactive. Stillness is what allows you to respond instead of react, to choose your words with care, to move with precision rather than haste. It is the ground beneath your feet, the steady rhythm of your breath, the quiet anchor that keeps you centered even when the world pulls at you from every direction. It is in this space that your power grows, not from aggression, not from force, but from presence, from the ability to remain whole while everything around you falls into panic. And that presence is felt by others. Without raising your voice, without rushing your words, your calm becomes the stabilizing force in any room. People lean into your steadiness. They sense your control, even if they cannot explain it. Stillness is not passivity, it is strength, it is control, it is the mastery of knowing when to act and when to wait. So, take the time, step back, breathe. Before you respond, before you decide, before you move, ask yourself, am I acting from pressure or from principle? Am I reacting to the chaos or responding with clarity? Because real power is not about moving first, it is about moving right. But presence and stillness alone are not enough, because life will test you, it will push you, provoke you, and offer every excuse to abandon your discipline. The next challenge is not just how you stand still, but how you carry your pain with grace. 4. Carrying pain with grace, turning suffering into strength. Everyone experiences pain, but not everyone knows how to carry it well. Some collapse beneath its weight, some run from it, trying to numb the ache with distraction, denial, or blame. But there is another way, the way of power, the way of grace. The way of those who refuse to let suffering define them, but instead allow it to refine them. The Stoics never taught us to ignore pain. They never said to pretend it does not hurt. What they taught was courage, the courage to face pain directly, to learn from it, to let it shape us without letting it break us. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor strengthens the body. Pain is not a punishment, it is the fire that forges character. It is the sculptor that chisels away what is weak, leaving behind what is true and enduring." Powerful people do not avoid hardship. They do not hide from disappointment. They meet it head-on, upright, eyes clear, heart open. They know that pain is part of the process, not a detour from the path, but the very road itself. To walk with power is not to pretend life is easy. It is to face life exactly as it is, unpredictable, challenging, often unfair, and to keep moving anyway. It is to hold your head high even when your heart is breaking, to breathe deeply even when the weight feels unbearable, to stay committed to your values when it would be easier to give up. Because the truth is this, the pain you feel today is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is here to reveal your strength, not your weakness, to test your resolve, to strip away the false comforts that once held you back and show you who you really are beneath the surface. Pain has a way of exposing what we believe. It shows us where we stand and where we still have work to do. It calls out the parts of us that are still clinging to illusion. It forces us to decide, again and again, what kind of person we are becoming. When suffering arrives, you have a choice. You can collapse beneath it, or you can rise through it. You can let it harden your heart, or you can let it deepen your compassion. You can let it define you as a victim, or you can use it as the forge for your greatest strength. Carrying pain with grace means holding your suffering not as a burden, but as a source of wisdom. It means learning to sit with the discomfort without letting it consume you. It means asking the right questions. What is this pain trying to teach me? Where is it pointing me? What strength is it asking me to uncover? The Stoics understood that endurance is not about suppressing emotion, it is about transforming emotion. It is about taking the raw energy of frustration, grief, and anger and reshaping it into clarity, into patience, into resolve. There is great dignity in standing tall while your world trembles. There is immense power in choosing persistence over collapse, in refusing to let the hardships of life turn you bitter or cold, in allowing those hardships to polish you, to make you sharper, more deliberate, more alive. This is not about smiling through agony. It is not about pretending to be unaffected. It is about the quiet decision made over and over to keep showing up, to keep choosing courage over comfort, to keep trusting that on the other side of this pain there is growth, there is strength, there is you stronger than before. Remember, every scar tells a story. Every wound endured is proof that you stood when you could have fallen, that you kept going when quitting would have been easier. These are not marks of failure. They are monuments to your becoming. Pain, when carried with grace, does not diminish your power. It deepens it. But strength is not just found in how we carry our pain. It is also revealed in how we show up to each moment fully present, fully engaged, without chasing perfection. And that is where we now turn. 5. The power of presence over perfection. Power is not about showing up flawless. It is about showing up fully present, fully engaged, fully alive. In a world obsessed with perfection, it is easy to believe that you must be polished, impressive, always at your best. But the Stoics saw through this illusion. They knew that true power does not come from being perfect, it comes from being present. Perfection is a trap. It leads to paralysis, to hesitation, to self-doubt. When you chase it, you become more concerned with how you appear than with how you truly are. You begin to edit yourself, to hide your flaws, to hold back your full presence because you fear it is not enough. But presence is enough. It always has been. To walk with power is to stop performing and start participating. It is to stand here, now, fully grounded in the moment you are living. It is the decision to show up honestly, not as the polished version of who you think you should be, but as the real version of who you are. When you are fully present, you are no longer tangled in fear of failure. You are too focused on the task at hand to entertain doubt. You are not scattered between past regrets and future anxieties. You are here. You are steady. You are engaged. Seneca reminded us that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And it is true. Most of the fear that shakes us is not about what is happening now, but about what we think might happen. Presence frees you from that loop. It brings you back to what is real, this breath, this step, this choice. When you are present, your energy is not divided between performance and purpose. Your focus is no longer turned outward, seeking approval. It is turned inward, grounded in what matters most. You do not fear judgment because your attention is not on the audience. It is on the integrity of your own action. Presence strips away the noise. It silences the ego that demands attention. It quiets the fear that whispers you are not enough. In that quiet, clarity speaks, and clarity is power. Think of the difference between hearing and listening, between glancing and truly seeing. Presence transforms effort into art, routine into ritual, words into meaning. It makes every action deliberate, every choice intentional, every moment sacred. The world will try to sell you perfection. It will reward the performance, the curated image, the illusion of flawlessness. But what the world really needs, what people truly respond to, is presence. Presence that does not need to impress because it is already complete. presence that does not hide behind status or achievement because it stands firmly on authenticity. Presence is not passive, it is sharp, it is alert, it listens deeply, it sees clearly, it responds wisely. It brings your full attention into each conversation, each challenge, each breath. When you meet life with this kind of engagement, you stop drifting, you stop reacting mindlessly, you stop coasting through your days half awake. You step into your life fully, unapologetically, without reservation. This is where power lives, not in being flawless, but in being fully here. And here's the truth: nobody remembers perfection, but they remember presence. They remember how you made them feel. They remember the steadiness of your gaze, the sincerity of your words, the patience of your listening. These are the marks of true strength. The Stoics knew this well. They practiced presence as a daily discipline, because presence is not something that happens by accident. It is a choice, a practice, a way of life. Choose one simple action today and do it with your full attention. Eat without distraction, walk without your phone, listen without preparing your reply. Notice how different the experience becomes when you are truly there. Presence is power, and when you bring that power into your daily life, perfection loses its grip on you. But presence alone is not enough. To truly walk with power, you must also master another discipline, the art of holding back, of restraint, of knowing when less is more. And that is where our path now leads. The walk of power is the walk of wisdom. True power is not loud. It does not need applause. It does not demand recognition. It simply stands steady, honest, undeniable. The Stoics taught us that the greatest strength is not found in controlling others, but in mastering yourself, in the calm of your presence, in the clarity of your choices, in the discipline of your restraint, in the dignity of how you carry your pain, and in the wisdom of knowing where your power begins and where it ends. This is not the power that rises with pride and collapses with challenge. This is the power that endures, the kind that remains steady when the world shakes, the kind that leads not through force but through example. The walk of power is not a performance. It is a practice, a daily devotion to your highest principles, a commitment to show up with integrity again and again, especially when it is hard. Especially when no one is watching. You may not control what happens around you, but you can always choose how you walk through it. And that choice, moment by moment, breath by breath, becomes your greatest strength. So walk with power, speak with intention, hold your ground with grace. Lead yourself first. Let your life be the quiet proof that wisdom lives here. And if this message speaks to you, I invite you to join this journey of strength and clarity. Subscribe to Modern Stoic Life. Turn on the notification bell. Stay connected as we continue to explore how ancient wisdom can build unshakable power in modern life. Thank you for watching. Stay steady, stay strong.